The Backrooms. You've been here before. Level 1, Habitable Zone. I had simply gone deeper into the rabbit hole. I sat with my back against the cold wall, too dehydrated to produce tears. I was exhausted and weak, but I was overjoyed. I had finally escaped that yellow hell. Who knows how long I wandered through those rotting halls, enduring the non-stop buzzing and the slosh of rancid carpet. I never knew how much I could appreciate silence. I had hoped the flickering wall would send me home, but no dice. Instead, I found a strange, off-color room filled with notes. Some mentioned no clipping, and others advised me to find strange-looking walls to enter, none of which made sense until I saw one myself. It was so ominous, like something out of a dream, although now, this whole place felt just like a waking nightmare. This whole situation was bizarre. I had stumbled in the dark of my home, trying and failing to not step on the broken glass, and had found myself in the mono-yellow labyrinth. It was a miracle I was wearing real shoes and jeans, but I had been ill-equipped to enter such a strange place. I had been scared at first, but after wandering for so long, it had fully flipped over into just being a taxing ordeal. I laughed to myself as I looked around. I had stared at yellow for so long, the walls around me had taken on a violet hue. The cement floor was rough to the touch, but I was grateful to sit on something that wasn't wet. The area was some sort of barren parking structure, with miles of unforgiving concrete leading into the distance. Random clangs echoed through the pipes on the ceiling, though it was far less obnoxious than the incessant humbuzz of the yellow rooms. There were puddles of liquid scattered across the ground. However, I wasn't that desperate. Yet. I gingerly began to put my shoes back on, my feet blistered from trudging through the moist carpet. It had taken a few hours for them to dry, but now I was ready to move forward. Level 1, the Habitable Zone, Survival Difficulty, Class 1, Safe and Secure, Presence of Anomalous Resources, Minimal Entity Count. Generalities. Congratulations, Wanderer. If you're reading this article, this means you have successfully escaped the Yellow Halls, commonly referred to by other Wanderers like you as Level 0, Tutorial Level. As you have most likely read on the Manila Room documents, you have unfortunately no-clipped into another realm known as the Backrooms. Thankfully, you have managed to leave Level 0 and learned how to use no-clipping to your advantage. Following your no-clipping, you are now on Level 1, the second level of the Backrooms, also nicknamed the Habitable Zone. This place, unlike the Yellow Halls, is much more complex and deadly, as it is home to various creatures and phenomena that you aren't used to yet. Fortunately, however, you will also find resources such as food or water, as well as settlements of people who will help you stay safe. This article will describe everything you need to know to survive here, as well as explain how to reach us. The following groups have helped write this article and will actively help you if you encounter them here. Try finding them by looking for their logos. The Arlene Circle, the BNTG, the Meg, the Nomads, no permanent base, only temporary settlements. The Speed No Clippers, when they set up registration spots. Keep in mind that not all humans in the Backrooms are friendly, so be wary of anything that moves, entity or not. You can find explanations and advice about both of them down below. How long had it been since I had last seen another person? Weeks? Months? It was certainly before I had fallen into this forsaken world. I couldn't tell. Time didn't really exist here. There was no waxing and waning of the sun, just the artificial wash of overhead lights. What was this place? It seemed man-made, all of it, but it contained an otherworldliness that distinctly wasn't. While I was grateful for the change of scenery, I still felt trapped in this apparently infinite abyss. The halls stretched on for eternity, almost warping ahead of me. They felt off. Wrong, perhaps. I was probably just exhausted, but it seemed like the halls twisted in improbable ways, far off in the distance. My head ached. Little flickers of disorienting visual anomalies danced in the corners of my vision. This place was probably just getting to me. The puddles around me smelled unclean, the plastic scent of stagnation clinging to the air. I avoided them, but still, my thirst drew me closer to them. The air felt stuffy and humid. If only I could crank a window and get any modicum of fresh air. Small piles of debris littered sections of the floor, pieces of wood, packing material, and metal. I glanced through some of it, hoping in vain that any of it contained some manner of sustenance. As I passed one, I saw something odd from the corner of my eye. A crowbar was peeking out from under the crushed wooden planks. I pulled it out, gauging its weight with my hand. It was sturdy, with small flecks of rust patterned on its corrugated gray surface. I did a test swing, satisfaction growing in me as it whisked through the air. This could be a useful tool, I thought to myself. I hung it from my belt and continued on. The halls rolled on and on. My only companions were my footsteps and the intermittent rumbling through the pipes above. I wanted to scream, shout, do whatever it took to find another soul in this endless emptiness. But I was terrified that something else would respond. There had to be other people here. The notes in that room were almost certainly handwritten. I had to keep looking. They were somewhere, and maybe, just maybe, I could find my way home. The halls. Right now, you are standing in the halls. They're wide and open areas, with a consistent architecture of bland, discolored walls that stretch over for miles, with the occasional concrete pillars maintaining the structure's integrity. Many wanderers describe this place as, quote, an endless chimera between an underground parking lot and an abandoned warehouse, end quote, a description that might spark some familiarity for you. The image shown on screen is the first in a slideshow of images. The rest of the images in this slideshow will be presented now. Number 2, Number 3, Number 4, Number 5, Number 6, Number 7, Number 8, Number 9. Image slideshow caption. Different areas of the habitable zone. The halls of the habitable zone host two specific phenomena: the apparition of crates, being the only way to get resources, and the frequent flickering of the lights, creating small blackouts where the anomalous wildlife of the level tends to come out. Both will be developed below in their specific parts, so refer to the links linking to those specific parts of the article if you need this information now. Navigation. Image caption. Example of a landmark that can be used for navigation. The habitable zone is subject to what we call non-Euclidean geometry. This means that distances you perceive are fabricated by your senses, and that your surroundings aren't what you think they look like. Examples of this include walking for a few dozens of seconds, yet finding yourself where you thought the horizon was, wandering around for several minutes, only to realize you barely moved from your original location. Thankfully, there is a way to navigate this place without relying on your deceiving senses, and it directly involves your surroundings. First, try locating a particular landmark at a reasonable distance: a table, a colored pillar, an electric panel, a crate. Walk towards it carefully, never looking away from it. If you don't appear to get any closer, it means the landmark is way further from you than you thought. In this case, look for another landmark and repeat the process. This will allow you to always know where you are by using a reference point, helping you track where you are at all times. Once you start getting used to this anomalous environment, the need to rely on external objects will gradually fade away. Footnote: as the level layout isn't shifting over time, a trained individual can look around and deduce the real form of the non-Euclidean architecture, even if their senses remain misleading at first. End footnote. This doesn't mean you should take too much confidence so hastily either. Getting too self-assured is the number one cause of death among new wanderers. Distances you see will always be artificial, so don't think you mastered non-Euclidean exploration in only a few hours. Sectors. As you start walking deeper into the level, you might notice some slight environmental changes: pillars with different forms than before, walls featuring more decrepit colors. Those shifts in the landscape are tied to a partition of the level into similar, yet distinct zones wanderers call sectors. You can think of them as sub-levels of the habitable zone, still a warehouse, but with some architectural differences between each. Why would we care about changes that are so subtle? The answer is simple. Thanks to their existence, groups managed to name and locate several key areas of the level. This makes navigating the habitable zone a much easier experience, as using them allows anyone to figure out which part of level 1 they're in. Obviously, those sectors remain huge, so keep using landmarks for navigation. Sector Gallery. Aquila Sector. No image caption available. Gray walls and flooring with huge concrete pillars compose the Aquila Sector, the most well-known part of the habitable zone. More reminiscent of a parking lot than a warehouse, the blandness of the landscape is only interrupted by small pipes on the ceiling, leaking damp water on the floor that isn't safe for consumption. It's likely you're familiar with this environment already, since new wanderers usually no-clip here from the yellow halls. Note: see level 0, tutorial level. Due to this, the major explorer group has set their base alpha in this sector, allowing for patrols to find newcomers more easily. Said patrols are common, as they actively look for new no-clipped wanderers to escort safely to the base. They are usually in teams of 4 to 5 people and can be recognized from afar by their bright lime yellow outfits and their eagle insignia. If you spot them, you can safely ask them for help. Guild sector. No image caption available. More colorful than the Aquila sector, the Guild sector features more lights and a more diverse architecture than other parts of level 1. Do not be fooled by this, however, as its structure remains non-Euclidean, like the rest of the level. This area of the habitable zone, more akin to a warehouse, hosts more crates than any other discovered location of the level. Therefore, if by chance you get to wander in this sector, make sure to gather some food and bottles while you can. See crates later on. Make sure also to gather some valuable items in case you manage to find the Trader's Keep, the base of the Backrooms non-aligned trade group. Since they don't shelter anyone for free, bartering will be your best chance to get a home, even temporarily, in the Guild sector. Gothic sector. No image caption available. The Gothic sector gets its name from its more curved structure, with arches and circular pillars making up most of the area. It hosts Hippocrates I, the main settlement of Team Hippocrates of the Arlene Circle. Seeking their base is advised, especially if you require medical care, as biological research and medicine are the focus of the settlement. Their group mission of protecting wanderers will lead them to offer you a temporary home, although it can become permanent if you have the skills to work for the team. Ouroboros sector. No image caption available. This sector is the smallest recorded as of yet, characterized by its perpetual state of construction, shadowy creatures in overalls. Note: see the major group Backrooms Remodeling Co. can be found within it, aimlessly repairing the structure of the place. So far, the progress has yet to be physically observed, despite the place being in this state for at least decades. All of the personnel is working while completely ignoring the presence of other biological life. This led to some accidents where wanderers reported getting harmed due to their imperturbable work. It is therefore advised to stay away from them and their contraptions. Since there are no bases in this sector capable of helping wanderers, it is overall better to quickly find a way out of it. Since none of them answer any question, let alone acknowledge human presence, their purpose remains unknown. Garden sector. No image caption available. Do not be fooled by the verdant colors and blooming life. Out of the many parts of the habitable zone, the garden sector is one of the few that doesn't suit human life. Overgrown since times unknown, the garden sector has a rather unusual effect on human life. Staying there for even an hour will start twisting you, progressively turning you into a plant, like many others in the past. If you happen to find the entrance to the concrete garden, avoid it like the plague. It is far easier to deal with non-Euclidean geometry and liminality than losing yourself to the deadly nature. Fabled sector. No image caption available. The Backrooms is no stranger to change. Anyone with a working pair of eyes can tell you that. One needn't go further than taking a casual stroll through the perpetual streets of the Endless City. Note: see level 11, the city that never sleeps, in order to find all the appropriate evidence. What most individuals do not realize is that there is far more depth to the evolution of the Backrooms than meets the eye. I don't blame them. The chance of surviving for a long enough period of time to witness it firsthand is incredibly small, and for the few that do try to understand this reality, they can only witness fixed versions of the past. Note: see level 51, the Forgotten City, and future. Note: see level 15, futuristic halls, assuming they are only bursting in and out of existence. Yet, change is only one side of the equation in the endless cycle of liminal evolution we find ourselves in. With only half of the story, understanding the true scope of the situation is often missed. The Backrooms is a two-way street, one of change and one of stagnation. There is no better example of this than the fabled sector. Once a stronghold of human life, it was eventually lost to time. The endless shifting of hallways manipulated the terrain in such a fashion that it isolated this area. 300 years ago, Level 1 bore the very same aesthetic of wood and vermilion. But as the era decayed, as settlements fell, as we humans moved on, the backrooms moved with us. The comfortable, welcoming halls were sucked of their lifeblood in favor of the age of concrete pillars and rebar. That was until the fabled sector was rediscovered. With light shining down its walls once more, it has been filled with a new purpose. Bright neon lights and colored cables engulf the antique rooms in the zeitgeist of the modern day, finally overwhelming the last few embers of the past. In decades from now, perhaps its history will fade, and the fabled sector will be one of the many warehouse halls that can be found down here. Change isn't constant, but inevitable. All we can do is adapt, following the Backrooms' own adjustments as it tries to match our own. Yet, the Backrooms changes, but never forgets what it was, or what it could be. Maybe this fragment of the past will prevail, even twisted by technology, as one of the many, note, Sea Level 28, Stormstone Keep, remnants, note, Sea Level 73, the Redlands, of the past that still exist within these many dimensions. Leo Castellos, curator of Level 222, Castellos' museum. Now that you know how to wander around without losing yourself, try looking for signs of life. Our groups usually patrol within the level to help people like you to get to our bases safely. Knowing that, you can look for signs of our presence, footnote, such as marks or signs, and footnote, to find us more easily. Keep your eyes sharp and open at all times. How to Recognize Settlement Landmarks by Meg Team Compass Point. Hello, Wanderer. My name's Ale, and I'm a member of Team Compass Point Meg. Today, I'm going to explain to you how to easily find settlement landmarks in the wild. This place isn't called Habitable Zone for nothing. It's actually hosting a lot of settlements made by people who banded together. If you find one, they will be able to help you recover from the harshness of the level and offer you a place to live in. But getting there is the hard part. As you probably figured out by now, Level 1 is huge. Really huge. And, while sectors can help you figure out where you are, it's not exactly going to indicate where the closest outpost is. So, to circumvent this, groups, such as us, put down several types of landmarks to guide you. They're usually pretty simple. A colorful piece of cloth with the group logo on it, with food or almond water, and a note tied with it. Their vibrant colors clash with the gray walls of this landscape, so look around for those. To make it even easier to find, they are usually put down near doors or on walls, sometimes hanging from neon lights, too. Notes will often contain indications on how to find the settlements of the group that made the landmark. Use it to find them. You can also wait near it for someone to come, but as you'll learn later down this page, flickering makes it risky to stay in the halls for too long, so I'd rather advise you to actively look for the settlement. If you take the contents of one of those landmarks, please take down the colored cloth and put it on the floor. This will allow us to know that its contents have been taken, and we will refurnish it during a future patrol. Thanks for your cooperation, and good luck down there. My dehydration had reached a fever pitch, becoming an insidious sickness that cloyed at my faculties. The area swirled around me into a steely vortex as I stumbled into walls. I was at my lowest when I saw it. A bottle of water, encapsulated in glass, sitting next to an emergency exit door. I sprinted to it, desperately clawing at the cap as soon as my grubby mitts could reach it. I began sucking down the water, almost spitting it out immediately when I was greeted with a strange, nutty taste. I held it in, turning the bottle in my hands as I read the label. Almond water was scrawled across it in a font straight out of the 1980s. I swallowed. What the hell was almond water? The more I drank it, the better it tasted. It had a pleasant sweetness to it that rolled across the palate. Perhaps I was just thirsty, but this was almost certainly the best thing I had ever tasted in my life. I felt the dryness in my throat ease and my headache fade. Joy filled my heart. I was saved. At least, for now. I shouldn't underestimate this place. Who knows how long it would be until I found something else to eat or drink. I was so engrossed in my good fortune, I hadn't even noticed the note next to it. I picked it up off of the floor and gingerly opened it. Hello, Wanderer. How auspicious that you've made it here. The fact that you're reading this safely is no small feat. Your reward is this specially bottled almond water, courtesy of the Major Explorer Group. Please come find us. We can help you find your bearings and fully explain what is going on. There is still a long way to go. Follow the corridors until you start seeing people. They will be able to guide you to safety. Please leave this empty bottle here with the notes so we can refill it. Thanks and good luck. My heart sank. I had run out of the beverage. I was so relieved. There were other people in here, and they seemed friendly. It made sense that this place would have an explorer group with how big it was. I dribbled out the last drops from the bottle into my mouth, and suddenly realized all of my faculties had completely returned to me. In fact, I think my vision was somehow better than before. Just what was in this stuff? I had a second wind, and I gently returned the bottle and the note, and pushed through the double doors, pressing down the cold metal push bar as the door resisted my force. It slowly creaked open, and I slipped into a tight hallway. It was noticeably warmer, and there was a distinct lack of disgusting puddles. I began wandering the corridors, opening doors while I ran my hands across the white concrete walls. Many of the small side rooms were empty and devoid of light. Maybe I could finally find a spot to get some proper rest. A calm washed over me, my anxiety melting away. Perhaps I was finally becoming numb to this place, or maybe it was because I had simply had something to drink. But it was a good thing. I didn't have the luxury to panic here. The corridors. Image caption. Note the presence of a painting oddly placed on the floor, right before the doors leading to the halls. Like crates, they have a tendency to disappear when not looked at. Whatever sector you're in, it's safe to assume you've come across a single or double pushable doors, sometimes with an exit sign above them. While they won't make you leave the level, they will lead you to the second zone of level 1, the corridors. Tight and labyrinthian by nature, they form a sprawling complex of dimly lit concrete pathways that can go on for kilometers. Don't be scared to enter them, however, as they're actually far safer than the halls. Indeed, as you will quickly realize, the structure of these corridors isn't anomalous, which means you can finally trust your senses again to navigate. But beware nonetheless. This complex is convoluted, and it's still easy to lose yourself if you're not careful, so don't venture too deep if you can avoid it. If you have to, try finding a way to retrace your steps, for example, by using yarn balls as an Ariane thread. Image caption. One of the many purposeless rooms that can be accessed through the corridors. As for what the corridors hold within, you could compare them to cave systems back on Earth. They are safe from any hostile presence, and are a great shelter for anyone looking to set up an encampment. However, they are also barren and lack resource presence. As such, make sure you gather everything you need before leaving the halls. Of course, the corridors aren't devoid of rooms, quite the opposite, in fact. However, much unlike the rest of the habitable zone, they are purposeless, devoid of sense and logic. Examples of those rooms are small office rooms with an old computer. Footnote. They can rarely be a more specialized type of computer like Wayback Machines. And footnote. On an office table, dimly lit by a singular light bulb hanging from the ceiling. Tight spaces with brick walls surrounding them, see video below. Large infirmaries with singular hospital beds at the center and some tables on the sides. Rubber rooms with a chair in the middle of them, sometimes clipped into the floor. Wide rooms with paintings on the walls and floor. Begin related video. Video caption. Perhaps too small for a good settlement. Try another door. Even with their absurd layout, those rooms are ideal spots to take a rest in. Their temperature fits human comfort, and their enclosed nature allows for a safe sleep. You can claim one of them as your own for the quote-unquote night to get some well-deserved sleep, which will allow you to look for groups more easily afterward. creating an encampment in the corridors by Nomad Troop Ariane Thread. Congratulations on finding the corridors, Wanderer. As you read above, this place is much safer than the non Euclidean halls, and therefore is the best place to settle in for the quote unquote night. Obviously, rest in such an inhospitable place is crucial in order to stay sane and efficient, allowing you to eventually find other people. However, not all rooms in the corridors are made equal, and some of the wildest backrooms tricks can be running here. Compiled down there is a list of the most frequently asked questions by new wanderers wishing to survive by themselves and set up a camp. I've seen a lot of different room sizes so far. Is any one better than the rest? Picking the right room is obviously important. Too small, and you won't be able to comfortably lie down or even be at risk of using your own campfire. Too large, and you won't be able to escape the feelings of dread and anxiety in the halls. Usually, the ideal size would be the size of a bedroom. How can I sleep in there? The best case scenario is if you manage to find a sleeping bag during your time in the halls. However, if you didn't get any, finding a room with a soft floor, like rubber or carpet, is your next best option. Using available furniture, like a mattress or a sofa, is also a possibility. Both of those cases aren't optimal, but are the most coziness level 1 can offer. Is it really impossible to find food in the corridors? If you didn't find anything to eat or drink while in the halls, but still have to enter the corridors, don't worry. While scarce, some can be found in the occasional furnished room. Be careful, however, as most of them will be either spoiled or infected. As a matter of safety, only consume what's protected within a bottle, jar, or can. Can I make a campfire here? You can use planks you scavenged from crates to start a fire. However, keep in mind that not all rooms have air vents, and suffocating in the smoke of your own site is still a possibility. Keep in mind that camping equipment, like portable stoves, can be found in crates if you do not wish to eat cold food. Is there a lock on my door? Should I use it to be safe? Avoid using natural locks at all costs. They are subject to disappearing when looked at. This means you wouldn't be able to open the door afterward, exposing yourself to a long, agonizing death, trapped in what was meant to be a safe room. What about creatures? Entities don't tend to wander within the corridors. Nevertheless, taking precautions to avoid a surprise attack is always a good thing. Barricading the door with furniture can usually nullify a random intrusion. Avoiding making too much noise during flickering events can also help avoid potentially redirecting them to your location. I had a good sleep. Now what? Abandoning your temporary camp is the best option. Make sure to retrace your steps up to the entrance you used to get to the corridors, and from there, keep on searching for us major groups. Keep it up. You're getting closer with every step. The hours crawled by as I wandered through this new world. The fatigue and thirst quickly returned, thoughts of the so-called almond water creeping into the back of my mind. I needed to sleep. I opened every door, scouring every crevice of the area for somewhere to sleep. I had only found ruined crates and fragments of wood, nothing substantial. It was almost another day when I found it. A small, cramped room with several mangy mattresses strewn about on the inside. I closed the door, placing one of the mattresses flush to the door, moving the others to help block the light. I laid down and passed out almost instantly, lost to the swirling darkness behind my eyelids. I dreamed, perhaps for the first time since I had fallen in here. I dreamed of my parents, my dog, happy dreams, which coalesced into the shadowy darkness clinging to the end of a corridor. I found myself wandering hallways similar to the yellow hell. However, the lights had turned a blood red, and the buzzing had become insanely intense. I sprinted and sprinted, but the hallway never ended, merely contorting itself in impossible ways as it sprawled out in front of me. The carpet became deeper and deeper, until I found myself drowning in the dripping crevice I had found myself in. I desperately clung to the fibers, but they were too wet, and I watched the red lights fade above me. I began to choke as I sank into nothingness, and the carpet completely enveloped me. I snorted myself awake in a cold sweat, disoriented as I sucked in air. Thank the Lord, it was just a dream. I panted, my heart throbbing as the mattress squeaked under the stress of my breathing. I sat up, back against the door, meditating as I tried to forget the dream. This was horrendous, just another blow after another blow. I felt like I had already gone through stages of grief trying to survive here. Maybe me thinking I could live on was just me bargaining with myself. I bumped the mattress, blocking the light with my foot, causing it to tumble over. The room was flooded with a pallid, fluorescent light, and, for a moment, I truly felt defeated. It was time to move on. I felt surprisingly well rested, given my waking nightmare. I shoved the mattress out of the way, and somehow it looked less appealing than it did before. I cringed as I pushed it out of the way, and I swung open the door. As it squeaked open, I heard something behind me, like an electrical pulse. I turned to see the light in the room flickering ominously. I froze in place as the entire area went pitch black. There was no sound whatsoever, just my own stifled breathing. Then I heard something, a sound I had not heard before, the gentle slapping of skin on concrete. It grew louder, as if it were coming my way. I closed the door in front of me, my hair standing on end, as I realized I had closed it too loudly. I could hear the muffled slaps run up to the door. It took every ounce of my effort, but I held my breath. I could hear something milling about behind the door. Tears streamed from my eyes as my blood surged through my pumping heart. Adrenaline flooded every inch of my body, and I began to shake while I pressed my full weight against the door. I gently placed my ear on the metallic surface, trying to figure out what was on the other side. All I could hear was light, labored breathing, and the sound of claws gently scraping down the surface of the door. We stood off there, my guest and I, for an inordinate amount of time. It played with the door, jiggling the handle and scraping at the thin layer of gray deteriorating its metal frame. I carefully metered my breathing, praying it would simply leave. Like a gust of wind, sound returned to the level as the lights flickered back on, relief washing over me as I could at least see. I could hear whatever was on the other side scamper away, and I sank to the floor in relief. I waited 20 minutes before carefully opening the door. The hallway was empty, clear from both directions, so I took a moment to inspect the door. Long sets of 4 claw marks were carved into the material. Clear, foamy, and viscous liquid was lolling down its surface, and fear rolled through me like an electric shock. What the hell did I just encounter? Flickering. Image caption: a photograph of a part of the halls during a flickering event. As its rather upfront name indicates, flickering refers to random times when all the natural lights of the habitable zone switch off, engulfing the level in complete darkness. Don't be fooled by its simplicity, however. Out of all the Backrooms phenomena, it might be one of the deadliest you can witness. Both the start and duration of a flickering event cannot be predicted. As such, their random nature is known to stress wanderers as soon as they begin, their innate fear of the dark getting the better of them. You might think this sudden anxiety is warranted, as this phenomenon renders the possibility of losing yourself much higher. However, while this is true, the lack of light isn't the real danger. Indeed, like an anomalous night, flickering allows for many creatures to come out and lurk, hunting for preys who cannot see them as easily. No hall is safe during a flickering event, whatever the sector is. As such, as soon as one starts, you must enter a corridor section fast. Locate the nearest corridor entrance by looking for a green exit light faintly illuminating the door below it. Do not use a light source to walk up to it. Becoming the only bright light source in the area will only lead you to a quick death. Instead, find the wall connecting to said door. Then, slowly fumble towards the small light. This will allow you to avoid getting lost in the non-Euclidean architecture. Keep in mind, most entities have evolved to hear even the faintest of sounds, so avoid running to your destination. Although corridors are also dark during the event, entities very rarely wander there. Footnote, meaning you can use a light source here without any danger. End footnote. You can therefore find a room to stay in until the lights come back. Several steps into the hallway, my heart jolted. I quickly ran back to the room I had used as a refuge. My crowbar was still sitting on the ground where I had left it, right next to the mattress. I sighed in relief, grabbing the object and placing it back on my belt. Finally, somewhat rested, I had a new pep to my step. Perhaps it was in part due to the adrenaline rush of hiding from whatever was behind the door, but I was motivated to keep moving and finally exit these haunting halls. The thirst and hunger had begun to set in again. I hoped my new friends at the main explorer group mentioned in the note would leave me more goodies. Hours passed as I wandered. I kept glancing upward with a newfound paranoia, but thankfully, the lights didn't turn off again. Eventually, I came across a large door, this one heavily rusted from the multiple dents in its metallic surface. I slowly opened it, gripping my crowbar as I eyed the contents of the next room. I saw a large corridor lined with metal shelves straight out of the back rooms of a retail store. They were stocked with crates, composed of a familiar wood, the same wood I had seen scraps of throughout the area. Seeing no immediate danger, I entered the room, the door groaning from its contorted shape. I walked up to the nearest crate and immediately stabbed into the crack between the lid and the container with my crowbar. I awkwardly jimmied the object in before prying open the lid. It cracked open, splinters of wood scattering everywhere. I foolishly reached into the box, recoiling as something inside sliced into my finger. Warmth spread down my hand as blood flowed from the laceration. I quickly tore off part of my sleeve and wrapped it tightly, grimacing from the sharp pain. I grabbed the crate and slammed it onto the floor, right under the light. It was full of small metal robots. They looked like vintage toys, with fraying paint and sharp edges, the kind you'd see in an antique shop. I tisked, kicking the box out of the way. I began ripping apart more crates, finding more useless garbage, and tossing all of it to the side. One container had a mountain of dead mice, another panes of glass. Eventually, I found one with a single backpack in it. It was logoless and black. The zipper was broken, but it could still work well enough. I slung it over my shoulder and continued popping crates. There was a single crate hidden behind the rest. It was far back on a shelf and enveloped in the shadows. I probably would have missed it if I hadn't been so thorough searching the shelves. It had the word rations written in fading black stencil on the side. I gently pulled the top off, the nails screeching in protest as they bent against the wood. I lifted the lid and was greeted by 4 metal water bottles. They were metal, a silvery gray. The rightmost one had a few dents, but this was the most promising lead I had found. I grabbed a bottle and popped it open as I sloshed the contents around. I smelled the liquid inside and was greeted by the pleasant scent of almonds. More of this almond water stuff, I thought as I took a sip. The incredible flavor and sweetness touched my lips again, and I quickly downed the entire beverage. I cheered to myself as energy surged through me as my blood sugar balanced again. My headache quickly faded, and I sighed in relief, shaking the last few drops into my mouth as I discarded the empty container. I swiftly packed the other 3 bottles into my backpack and continued onward. I will find these people. I knew I wasn't alone here. Crates. Image caption. Some crates gathered by Meg collectors back in Base Alpha. The logos and writings have been added by said agents for better sorting. This place wouldn't be a warehouse if it didn't host resources. Now that you've been wandering around for some time, it's safe to say you've come across some featureless wooden boxes, usually found on shelves or directly on the floor. Those boxes are called crates by wanderers and group members alike. While they look rather unassuming, they hold your only hope at survival: resources, usually appearing behind your back. Footnote: with that in mind, remember to regularly watch behind you. Not only can you find crates behind you, but this also ensures an entity isn't sneaking up on you. End footnote. Or, after a flickering event, virtually anything can be found within them. In fact, their existence alone makes it possible to set up bases at this level, and therefore led to the level being named the Habitable Zone by groups who set up there. It's worth noting that crates can disappear once not looked at. As such, make sure you take everything you need before leaving one behind. A non-exhaustive list of useful objects to look for can be found in the guide below. Crates Objects, a guide, by collecting director Caleb Andrews. Crates of the Habitable Zone are, by nature, diverse in content. In this guide, I will explain what kinds of objects should be prioritized, as well as some general advice when collecting them. Avoiding danger. Crates hold many helpful items, but can also contain some harmful ones: chemicals, explosives, or even specific objects like glass shards or cubes of solid nitrogen. So, always be prepared when opening a crate. Collectors typically wear gloves just in case, but the best tool is obviously patience. I understand you'll probably be excited to see food or almond water within them, but remember to always identify everything within the crate before putting your hands into it. Beware being over-incumbent. Chances are you'll find many valuable objects inside crates: food, tools. However, remember to not be greedy. Trust us, you can quickly become over-encumbered if you take everything that was ever so slightly interesting. This can lead to a lack of walking progress, or, in worse cases, the impossibility of escaping from an entity. Your backpack, or whatever bag you manage to find down there, has limited space, so only take what you're sure will be useful to you. If you start thinking, but this could help me if that overly specific situation happens, then it's a good sign you don't really need it. Only pack up the essentials, what is generally useful for survival. Object priority. You must now be wondering, but what should I prioritize then? To this, I would answer, the sooner the need, the more important it is. The backrooms can be unforgiving, raising many challenges you will need to overcome one by one. After answering your immediate needs, such as changing filthy clothes or drinking after a day without water, you can consider the following. Food. Examples of food include almond water, the main drink you'll find in the backrooms, cans/bocals of food, to avoid any contamination/potential spoiling. Warm, clean clothes. Examples of warm, clean clothes include a sweatshirt, a Christmas pullover, socks, ski pants, anything that will keep you warm and not interfere with your movements. An extra outfit, if yours isn't practical or damaged. Proper footwear, since you'll need to walk a lot to find people. Medical equipment. Examples of medical equipment include bandages, or gauze, for potential injuries, antiseptics and other quote-unquote cleaning equipment, such as soap or hand sanitizer. Footnote, to avoid infection with Staphylococcus liminalis. Note, see Entity 19, the disease, or the crawler fungus. Note, see Entity 17, crawlers. And footnote. Tools. Examples of tools include a knife or an axe to help open some crates or doors. Footnote, giving you material to use for barricades, for example, and footnote, as well as come in handy to scare some smaller entities away. Footnote, such as plague goblins, and footnote, fire-starting supplies like matches or a lighter can allow you to warm up your food and yourself, using planks from crates. Headlights or flashlight to use in the corridors, but remember not to do so in the halls. Entertainment. Examples of entertainment include yarn is common in crates, so crochet can be a good way to relieve stress. Make sure to pick up a notepad with a pen. Write down who you are and what you're trying to do. Do not lose hope. Other. Examples of other include a watch can help you keep track of time. Footnote. Most backrooms groups use the Meg Standard Time, MST, time zone, which is tied to the GMT time zone on Earth. End footnote. A phone charger, crucial for you to be able to access the database at all times. A sleeping bag, although finding the right corridor room can circumvent its need. Backrooms objects. Fervio jades can be used to detect entities close to you thanks to its reactive light. Squirt guns, although unassuming, can be a great ranged weapon with a lot of applications depending on the liquid used. Warp berries can serve as a way to escape certain death. Footnote, although the chemicals contained within can prevent you from leaving the newly entered level for a good while, depending on your metabolism, and therefore should be used as a last resort. Now you should know everything you need to know about crates. Remember that, if you need it, we at the Trader's Keep can and will keep you safe from the wilderness if you can pay for our protection. So, good luck out there, and we hope to see you in the guild sector. I had found a second wind. With every echoing step, my spoils rang with a jovial rattle in my bag. The corridors, like the yellow hell, were almost dizzying in nature. Thankfully, I was better equipped this time, and I felt more in control of the situation. Time passed. I slept in more barricaded rooms, and I found yet another crate of almond water. While I was no longer thirsty, the hunger was creeping in. I began to search for help with even greater desperation. Then I heard it. A voice. A human voice, echoing down one of the corridors. Hello? It was clear as day. A woman's voice. Is someone there? I replied, hesitating, even though my heart soared. Hello? The voice sounded strained as I followed it down the hall. The lights flickered, the gaps of darkness long enough to make me squint. I came to a woman, a trail of blood leading up to her. She was wearing molted clothes and appeared to be hunched over, weeping. "Miss, are you all right?" I stopped in the doorframe, wary of the woman in front of me. "No," she said, unmoving. "Let me help you then." I walked up to her, my hand white-knuckling my crowbar. I was within 3 feet of her before she spoke again. "I need help. Please." I froze in place. With what?" "Well, it is all loose." My heart pounded in my chest, my head spinning. "What's loose?" The woman turned around. Her skin hung from her body and face, like it had given up on clinging to her bones. She slowly reached up, grasping her hair as she pulled the skin taut on her face. It revealed strange eyes and pointed teeth as she began to smile. I then noticed something in the corner of my eye. What looked like a corpse, a body, was strewn across the ground. It noticeably was missing all of its skin. I could see its glistening muscles and bones shining hideously in a pool of blood. I looked forward, the woman now standing as the flickering lights intensified. "Hi." Within an instant, her other arm was plunged into my shoulder's flesh, its wicked claws easily slicing into the bone. I screamed in pain, dropping to one knee as I clubbed her skull in with my weapon. She, or it, fell to the floor, convulsing from the blow. I swung the crowbar into it over and over again until it stopped moving. My vision blurred, and my heart slowed. I discarded the crowbar next to me as I collapsed onto the floor. "Please, no." The thing stood up, the sheath of humans sliding off of its sickly yellow skin. It wound up, its swing aimed at my life, as I cringed helplessly on the ground. I heard a sickening thud, and the creature fell over. A machete remained embedded in its brain. My vision blurred as something rapidly approached me. "Miss?" Entities. Image caption: a duller, one of the many humanoid entities that can be found within level 1. The Backrooms isn't only made up of anomalous landscapes, it is an ecosystem filled with unhinged creatures you've never seen before. Some of them are neutral towards humans, some can even be helpful, but most are predators. They represent an active, mobile threat that will get you if you're not careful. As said previously, entities tend to hunt during flickering events, but this doesn't mean you won't find any when the lights are on. As such, stay aware of moving presences around you at all times. This means looking around regularly, including the ceiling, floor, as well as behind you. Entities all have different physical appearances and behaviors. If you see a creature you cannot identify from far away, refer to the general advice below and/or check the table for more specific advice. Keep in mind, the database has most of them detailed in specific articles. Note: see the list of entities. To do: avoid panicking at all costs. Being crippled by fear is common, but remember that as long as you're far away, you're safe. Silently go in the corridors to permanently lose them. If you can't see any exit, hide behind a pillar or a crate until you hear them leave. If you need to leave quickly, retrace your steps to the previous landmark you used for navigation to avoid getting lost. To avoid: if you see or hear the entity approaching, do not run. The non-Euclidean structure of the halls might bring you closer to the creature and get their attention faster. Do not use guns to harm the entity while far away. Although you might take down an entity, the noise will only bring more to you. Do not pick a close-up fight with any entity either. Again, overconfidence is one of the most common death causes for newcomers. Don't approach single humanoid presences when you're not sure they're humans. Keep in mind, real people often wander around in groups. Common entity list. Name: arms, no image caption available. Relevant characteristics: singular limb coming through vents and cracks during blackouts to catch wanderers. General advice: be wary of sounds coming from behind or above you when the lights are down, and flash the entity with light if you hear one. Name: clumps, no image caption available. Relevant characteristics: pile of connected limbs rushing to their preys with high speed. General advice: be wary of walking sounds, and avoid making noise yourself when near. Keep in mind they possess no eyes. Name: crawlers, no image caption available. Relevant characteristics: pathogenic fungus that takes over your mind after a short while. General advice: do not drink or touch unsealed liquids to avoid infection, nor interact with infected beings. Name: Dullars. No image caption available. Relevant characteristics: humanoid creatures ambushing wanderers by no-clipping through walls. General advice: stay away from walls if you hear suspicious noise around you, grating or rustling sounds. Name: Growlers. No image caption available. Relevant characteristics: sentient creatures made of cables with high strength and low intelligence. General advice: throw heavy objects onto their head. Footnote: diverging cables coming out from a singular part of their thorax. In footnote: to disorient them, then run away. If directly attacked, try ripping up cables from their head. Name: Hounds. No image caption available. Relevant characteristics: humanoid dogs with animalistic behavior. General advice: if contact isn't avoidable, intimidate it by visual contact and noise. Otherwise, stay away from its path. Name: Nguaither. No image caption available. Relevant characteristics: insectoid entities found on ceilings near their ball-like dizzing webs. General advice: avoid walking below their webs, even if it means going back where you came from. Name: Skin Stealer. No image caption available. Relevant characteristics: white humanoid creatures wearing the skin of their previous victims as a disguise, usually attacking after a long enough interaction with the Wanderer. General advice: try discussing with them, as they possess low intelligence. As soon as you can confirm they're not human, back away calmly. Name: Smilers. No image caption available. Relevant characteristics: bright animalistic faces attracted by light, and noise once having spotted their prey. General advice: stay calm and switch off or throw your light away as bait. Name: Wrangler. No image caption available. Relevant characteristics: huge snake-like creatures burrowing into walls, hypnotizing wanderers with their body. General advice: if you feel or hear the walls, ceiling, or roof vibrate, leave the area in silence. Name: Wretches. No image caption available. Relevant characteristics: aggressive undead humanoids with low intelligence. General advice: keep in mind those creatures aren't human. Don't attempt to interact with them, even if you can understand their voice. I sat at the edge of a stiff, rough cot. The fingers on my right hand gently scoured the rough scarring that had held my shoulder together. The memories were vague, almost dreamlike. They were images, moments, frozen in my mind like old photographs. More halls, the pool of red flowing out of me. I remembered seeing a man, me weakly flailing my crowbar at him as he embraced me. He saved my life. Through some miracle, they had stitched me back together. After fighting a nasty infection, I was alive and informed of my situation. The base wasn't glamorous. Hallways sprawled with beds, tents, and scraps salvaged from the strange world. The denizens called it the Backrooms, a rather appropriate title for the never-ending corridors. It was overwhelming. I made my way through Base Alpha, kind folk nodding and patting my back as I made my way through. My survival was a small miracle, my recovery 2 months of agony. I was grateful, but anxious. I clung to normalcy by frequenting the diner located near the base. Tom, the owner, was a kind soul who had somewhat taken me in after I became a regular. "Hello, my friend. Your usual?" Tom smiled, crinkles appearing in the corners of his eyes. I fidgeted with the menu, fully knowing I wasn't about to change my order. "Yeah," I replied, handing the menu to him. Tom took the menu, scratching the top of his arm with the corner of it as he walked away. I sat in silence, watching the wall as the minutes ticked by. I was startled as a plate slammed down in front of me. "Cheeseburger. Still mooing. Oh, and a shake." Tom sat down in front of me, his jovial face wrinkled with concern. "Now, what's going on, bud?" I stared at the burger for a moment, sliding the plate closer to me. "I'm afraid to leave. I don't know what's out there. God, I don't even know what to do, or where to go. I feel like a waste of space." Tom chuckled, rolling his eyes as he leaned back, the seats squealing in protest. "What? Kid, you think you're the first person to wander in here and have an existential crisis? He waved his hand at me. You survived for a reason. You're meant to be here, to be a part of this world. Tom stood up, stretching as he walked away. Now, eat your food before it gets cold, and no more being dreary. I half-heartedly scowled, but began to ruminate on his words. Maybe I could make a difference here, even if just a little. I bit into the burger and sunk deeper into my thoughts. Bases, outposts, and communities. Image caption: the interior of a rudimentary infirmary within a small campment, using crate planks as a floor and medical beds from corridor rooms. Settlements represent your only chance for long-term survival in the backrooms, granting you a place to eat and sleep in with other people. Thankfully for you, Level 1 is one of the more populated pocket dimensions down there, meaning you will find human presence eventually. Most of them are small encampments in either the halls or corridors, usually made out of tents or makeshift huts by a dozen wanderers at most. However, the intensity of the habitable zone didn't stop humans from creating much bigger bases over time, sometimes even developing into full-blown factions spanning several levels. Whether small or big, not all of these settlements will be friendly to you, however. Level 1 is so big and encampments are so separated that this place remains mostly rule-free. Nevertheless, be wary of humans as much as you watch out for the anomalous creatures, as our species can easily be more monstrous than entities in a place with scarce resources. A non-exhaustive list of relevant bases, outposts, and social points of the habitable zone can be found below. Keep in mind that hundreds of small to medium encampments are estimated to also exist there, although giving precise numbers is impossible. Meg. Meg Base Alpha. Base Alpha is the oldest and second biggest settlement of the major explorer group, dedicated to the training of new members, as well as exploration. Present in the Aquila sector, it can offer you a safe place to eat and sleep in, if you are interested in helping explore and study the backrooms in return. More akin to a town than a settlement, Base Alpha has grown so much within the corridors that it is now completely unrecognizable from the encampment it was many years ago. If you do not wish to risk yourself on deeper levels yet, this will be your best opportunity for a front rooms-like life. If you are interested in adventuring, however, Base Alpha is also dedicated to exploration, often training new operatives to work in other bases, or in small outposts on deeper levels. Finding and understanding these levels to one day find an exit has been the Meg's core mission since its inception. As such, they will be more than willing to give newcomers like you the keys to help them reach their goal. To read more about Base Alpha, its history, and its structure, refer to the Base Alpha article. BNTG, Traders Keep. Thanks to their neutrality and their equipment, the Traders Keep has quickly grown in prestige since its creation in 2016. Unlike the Meg, the Backrooms non-aligned trade group is made of merchants and mercenaries. As such, they are more interested in payment or bartering than recruiting and training newcomers. However, if you can pay their price and are interested in their vision, the Traders Keep is a great place to settle in. Indeed, their influence over the guild sector allows them to offer a much better quality of life and security than most other factions. It's also worth noting that the Trader's Keep also contains the Trader's Vault, the largest known BNTG stocking facility. This allows the group to regularly furnish bases such as Office Space EL-3A with resources to sell, thanks to their efficient web of interconnected trading routes. To read more about the Trader's Keep and its value, refer to the Trader's Keep article. Ariane Circle. Hippocrates 1. Hippocrates 1 is the first and main base of Team Hippocrates of the Ariane Circle. Created far before the bigger faction was formed, the base is mainly centered around biological entity research, a mission that led the team to work closely with the leaders in their time, as well as the Meg. As such, it is mainly thanks to them that most of the anomalous wildlife of the habitable zone has been documented for wanderers safely. Although secondary, their healthcare mission is something they take very seriously. As such, they regularly form external agents, as well as provide medical equipment and personnel to other groups in exchange for resources. The medical care they provide directly at their base to ill or injured wanderers is free, however, as their mission remains making the backrooms a safer place. Most of the members of Hippocrates 1 speak English and Hoofish. Footnote: a common backrooms language originating from the Lost. and footnote, in addition to French, so do not hesitate to reach out to them if you are in the Gothic sector. To learn more about Team Hippocrates and the Arlene Circle, refer to the Arlene Circle group article. Camp Amber. Camp Amber. Update. Since 2013, Camp Amber has left the habitable zone and is now residing in the hub. Historically, the Backrooms have always had one huge multicultural faction aiming at protecting wanderers. Yet, empires rise and fall, and the leaders, the biggest group of the second half of the 20th century, was no exception. When they got destroyed in 1997, wanderers' safety plummeted as a result, especially in Level 1, a realm hosting many clueless newcomers. As such, Camp Amber was created around this date. Nomadic in nature, they used to travel between sectors to educate newcomers about the Backrooms and its dangers, usually located near known exits from Level 0, tutorial level. They helped countless wanderers by giving them advice and training them for their new life. Following the creation of Base Alpha in 2012, a far more welcoming place from a group that was already growing fast, Camp Amber left the level 1 year later, relocating their activities to the hub, a safe highway level where new wanderers were also present. Eyes of Argos, Cornucopia, malicious and cruel people, capable of the most deplorable of crimes. Within the habitable zone's constant influx of newcomers and the barren nature of the place, they are a grim reality within the level, and have been for centuries. In the past, back when this place resembled a merchant site, Cornucopia was providing resources to the other settlements of the Eyes of Argos. Now that the Enclave occupies this purpose, the role of Cornucopia has shifted to punish the ever-flowing sinners so as to keep the second most populated Backrooms level peaceful. This base has evolved across the ages, but its nature as headquarters for the Justice Seekers has remained. These soldiers tirelessly patrol the habitable zone, looking for sinners to punish in their everlasting mission. If you have nothing to hide, then you should be safe from their wrath. Nonetheless, contact with them is ill-advised, as their definition of justice can vary from team to team. Remember that sometimes humans can be more dangerous than entities, especially when they deem they serve justice. To read more about this specific base, refer to the Cornucopia base article. Speed No Clippers. Registration spots. Unlike most of the other factions, the Speed No Clippers don't have permanent bases, as their name represents more of a way of life than a united group. However, even if plenty of communities and online forums have different lifestyles, most still recruit new members through the temporary setup of registration spots, such as in the habitable zone. Registration spots are usually simple in nature, ranging from makeshift wooden booths to tents. There, some speed no clippers will be available to put interested newcomers to the test. Even if a life of thrill and travels doesn't seem interesting to you, these registration spots are great places to learn about controlled no clipping and how to perform them, which is a useful skill to have in times of need. The speakers can also bring you to nearby settlements, allowing you to rest for some time. To learn more about the Speed No Clippers, refer to the Speed No Clippers group article. Tom's Diner. Tom's Diner. Tom's Diner is the biggest restaurant and social hub of the habitable zone. Run by Tommaso Esposito, better known as Tom, an Italo-American chef, and his co-worker, Aiko Sato. Although it started as a simple food stall, his work quickly gained in popularity thanks to his meal quality, as well as his overall optimistic and lighthearted personality. Over the years, the area developed into a complete diner. Most Backrooms groups use bartering as a money system, and Tom's Diner is no exception. A meal will cost you different resources depending on how elaborate it is. In addition, it is also common for people to bring their own ingredients to the diner as a way to both reduce the price and furnish the place for future meals. Due to its renown, Tom's Diner has quickly grown into the biggest social place in the habitable zone. Whether you're looking for new friends or travel companions, or wish to spend some time resting to the sound of the different artists making concerts here, the diner is your best bet to find people. My story still hasn't ended. The Meg pulled me from the hungry jowls of death, and now I proudly wear their insignia. My job is simple. I place supplies and notes in Level 0, Tutorial Level, and Level 1. I give back to the other newcomers so they too can write their tales. Soon, I will be able to explore this new world. But, for now, I will just welcome others to it. To those reading this, do not give up hope. There are groups out there who want you to live. The more of us in here means we all have a better chance to survive, a better chance to find a way out. Forge forward, and you will find the way. Stephanie Ashford. Entrances and exits. Level 1 is just the beginning. The backrooms are made of hundreds of other pocket dimensions, some sharing thresholds with the habitable zone. Below can be found the list of known thresholds leading to or away from here. Keep in mind this list isn't exhaustive, as new levels are constantly being discovered, and links between them can also appear and disappear. Note, see Phenomenon 32, level velocity, over time. Most levels accessing to or being accessible from anywhere also have been omitted for simplicity. Entrances. So far, the only entrance to the habitable zone you know of is level 0. However, many others have been discovered over the decades. Doors. Most of them take the form of doors from other levels. In such cases, simply opening them and going through the threshold leads to level 1. Known examples include certain random doors on level 4.2, Parking Lot of Fog, some building entrances on level 11, the City That Never Sleeps, also sometimes referred to as the Endless City, the door on level 12, Matrix, after following a specific course of action, rusted metal doors on level 40, Roller Rockin' Pizza, sandstone doors on level 46, Arabian Desert, certain doors on level 54, Stairwell of Spirals, doors on an office space on level 162, the Concrete Wall, doors leading to non-noteworthy buildings on level 215, Harborside View, certain doors connected to a building on level 330, A Stroke of Color, cardboard doors on level 409, the Paper Rooms, either door of the room on level 726, just a regular living room, smooth thresholds. Some other entrances are smoother, which means there are gradual changes in the environment. In such cases, walking far enough into a specific section of a level can lead to level 1. Examples include going back to blander corridors on level 2, abandoned utility halls. Footnote, also nicknamed pipe dreams by some wanderers. End footnote. Following a concrete hall or corridors that get progressively less glitchy on level 38. Fold point. Using a flight of stairs or an elevator on level 141, the boiler rooms. No clipping. Entrances can also occur through no clipping, similar to level 0, tutorial level. No clipping through a wall on level 0.1, Zenith Station. Touching or no clipping with a majority of objects or walls in VP3 on level 84, the Shifting Hedge Maze. No clipping through a concrete wall on level 128, the Great Outdoors. No clipping through any platform's secondary wall as it recedes on level 162, the Concrete Wall. No clipping through the floor in the lounges of level 283, Playland. Performing a controlled no-clip into the walls of the main hall on level 294, the Liminary Theater. It's worth noting that no-clipping doesn't only happen when going through a surface. Interacting with certain elements can also force a no-clip by, quote-unquote, sucking the wanderer in. Using a keycard on the screen displaying level 1 in the surveillance room. Opening a supply crate with a red number 1 on it in level 58, Water Wonder. Eating a ham croissant on level 304, Las Pananderias. No clipping into a tree on level 305, The Descent into Darkness. Touching any green shape on level 322, Unrecognized Landscape. Touching a mirror on level 365, Your Worst Enemy. Finding the sales floor and acquiring 2 bottles of almond water on level 852, Retail Therapy. Sublevels. Some areas of the habitable zone are considered big and important enough to be classified as sublevels. They can be considered like other sectors of the level. As of today, they are Level 1.1, Corrupted Corridor, Level 1.2, Concrete Garden, Level the Square Root of 2, Level 1.5, Inverted, Exits. Level 2, also nicknamed Abandoned Utility Halls, is the most common exit you will come across, as it is part of the quote-unquote Main 12, Footnote: this term is used to present an assortment of levels from 0, tutorial level, to 11, the city that never sleeps, that possess far more links between them than any other, which grants them a certain linearity. This is why new wanderers usually get from level 0 to level 1, rather than finding other, rarer exits. This is also true between level 1 and level 2, abandoned utility halls, level 2 and 3, electrical station, and so on. End footnote. The threshold from level 1 to level 2 is a smooth one, meaning simply walking far enough in a direction with pipes and dials gradually appearing will make you enter the abandoned utility halls. Since the habitable zone is one of the most populated levels, a high number of other exits from it have been listed over the decades. However, not all of them can be seen with the naked eye, and some surfaces or walls can lead you to a whole different place by complete accident. To avoid being disoriented or lost after an accidental no-clip, remember to use the clip protocol as soon as you enter a new level. No image caption available. The text on the image reads, "Remember clip. Check your environment, locate an exit, inspect the database, prepare your equipment, perimeter your environment." The clip protocol explained, by Team Hermes of the Arlene Circle. The Backrooms is a reckless and illogical place, and many things can happen to you as soon as you enter a new level. With no clippable surfaces usually invisible, it's not uncommon for someone to enter a new level they've never heard of before, and be completely lost as to what to do to leave it. As such, if you ever find yourself in a place you do not recognize, using the clip protocol will help you avoid potential danger and prepare yourself to explore. C. Check your environment to verify the presence of potential threats as well as identify the architecture around you. L. Locate an exit, such as no clipping back or finding a door, window, or any other potential threshold. I. Inspect the database, using all the information you collected to find which level you're in and which potential exit is safe to take. P. Prepare your equipment by taking relevant objects, like a weapon or flashlight, or changing clothes if needed. Second P. Perimeter your environment by setting up a temporary safe zone. If you wish to find more information about the protocol, you can find it on the Arlene Circle database. And with that, we wish you good luck on your travels. Level 1 is merely the beginning of your journey. With that in mind, here are the known exits from the habitable zone. Doors. Like level 1 entrances, most ways to exit it take the form of doors. Glass doors will lead to level 22, ruins left behind. Doors with unique symbols at the end of corridors with fluorescent lights will lead to level 154, the laser game. Ice-coated metal doors will lead to level 159, Beastland. Bunker doors will lead to level 218, Dead Man's Mile. Wooden doors in nonsensical locations will lead to level 389, the Gaming Hall. Elusive doors that feel slightly colder than the surrounding walls will lead to level 740, Reactor Ruins. Metal double doors that resemble those of lifts or elevators will lead to a staircase going to level 998, a path across hell and towards any beyond. Plain white wooden doors will lead to level 998.2, Fight Club. A specific sequence of doors and halls can take the Wanderer to the hub. Smooth thresholds. Similarly so, smooth thresholds also exist within the level. Climbing up into holes in the ceiling can lead to level 19, attic floorboards. Walking in a corridor getting gradually more glitchy will eventually lead to level 38, Fold Point. Breaches in some walls displaying the exterior can lead to level 128, the Great Outdoors, speaking the level name of lowercase b, capital H, capital Z, lowercase s, capital M, lowercase z, uppercase u, lowercase y, aka level 352, speak no evil, and any language involving the Latin alphabet in an intelligible manner will open a threshold to the level. Footnote: we heavily advise against using it, however, as the level presents a lack of food and drink, as well as a lot of entities who entered through similar ways. End footnote. Going into an open ventilation duct will lead to level 800, House of Clockwork. No clipping. No clipping is equally as common, and, as notified above, can occur by complete accident. The entrance to level 24, the Moon, is being kept secret by the BNTG, but is rumored to be a painting of the moon like the one on level 57, Diurnal Art Gallery. No clipping through some walls can lead to level 128, the Great Outdoors. Using a VHS tape labeled Mach Plus will make you no-clip into the TV to reach level 201, Aesthetic. No clipping into a dead tree will lead to level 305, the descent into darkness. Going through a painting depicting a jester looking character, note, see Entity 99, the Game Master, will lead you to level 389, the Gaming Hall. Landmarks that are part of the Pilgrim's Path can no-clip you when touched, going into another level with a landmark. Continuing to do so will eventually lead you to level 710, Ring and Ruins. Jumping in a painting that depicts a rocky island with a withered tree on top of it will lead to level 739, Sands of Desire. Clipping through a crate containing scrap metal will lead you to level 817, the Scrapyard. Sublevels. The aforementioned sublevels of the habitable zone can be accessed directly from it. They are: the entrance of level 1.1 Corrupted Corridor can be found at the south of Base Alpha. The passage leading to level 1.2 Concrete Garden is within the Aquila sector. The access to level the square root of 2 hasn't been confirmed as of yet. Level 1.5 Inverted can be accessed through no clipping.